Hello and welcome back to Everything Tumbler Tutorials. My name is Rebecca Escott and I'm a Tumbler designer. In this video, I'm going to be working with several sheets of clear Lisa Frank inspired vinyls from AB Designs Co. And not to worry, everything shown in this tutorial will be listed and linked down for you in the descriptions below. In this tutorial today, I'm going to be working with a 30 ounce with a screw lid from AB Designs Co. And I'm going to use the glitter Rainbow Ice, also from AB Designs. This is a beautiful diamond cut glitter. And if you've watched any of my videos before, you'll always notice that I like to spray paint my tumbler, as that's my glitter adhesive. Once I allow this to fully dry, I will then spray it with clear seal from Rust-Oleum to lock in this glitter. Once that dries, we're then ready for our first coat of epoxy. Once I'm happy with my glitter coverage, I'm just going to knock off all that excess glitter. Once my tumbler has been sealed and fully dry, it's now time to move on to the first coat of epoxy. For this coat of epoxy, I will be using the Artist Resin from Counterculture DIY. As always, make sure you use your heat torch to pop any bubbles you may or may not be able to see. I loved all of these designs, and so I couldn't just pick one or two. So I decided to do a geometrical design on this tumbler, which is pretty popular these days. Now, there was no rhyme or reason on how I was going to place it. I just knew I was going to start from the bottom and work my way up to the top. When it came to the shapes and sizing for the tumbler, I'm going to be honest with you, I just kind of winged it, simply because I didn't really have a plan of how I was going to pre-cut the shapes or anything like that. So I really cut the shapes and cropped the shapes as I went. The only thing that I really knew for certain is that I didn't want them all the same size, all the same shape. So you'll see where I overlap the vinyl onto other previous laid vinyl so that I can trim around it using my X-Acto knife. This giving each vinyl their own separate unique size and shape. Though I will state that the main thing I wanted to make sure of is that I did not have two identical patterns side by side. Outside of that, the rest of it, as far as the shapes and sizing, again, I just winged it. When cutting the vinyl from each other, I also left a hairline little gap between, because after this is epoxied, I do plan on going over each pattern with a nail tape to really make them stand out. I have to say, this was a very fun tumbler to make, and it didn't take long at all. And imagine the amount of other types of geometrical style tumblers you can make using a variety of matching but yet different vinyls. I chose to use all clear for this technique simply because this tumbler had been glittered and I really wanted that sparkle to shine through. But you could certainly mix and match with matching vinyls for using a vinyl that you can't see through and vinyls that you can see through. I think that the ideas are endless with this type of a tumbler. I wanted to keep this section in and fast forwarded just a little bit so that you can see how I work when it comes to the very rim of the tumbler. Once we had all the vinyl placed, this tumbler did not need to be sealed and it was ready for another coat of epoxy. For tutorial purposes only, I am going to be using the Turbo Fast Set from Counterculture DIY for this coat of epoxy. This epoxy literally takes 1 hour to cure, and we're going to use our heat torch to pop any bubbles we may or may not be able to see. Now that our tumbler is cured and touchable, it's time to go ahead and finish up with the final touches on the tumbler. I decided to go in with magenta nail tape from AB Designs Co. Honestly speaking, I think the most difficult challenge about doing this tumbler was deciding on which nail tape to use, because I really wanted to keep the Lisa Frank inspired theme throughout. So I chose the magenta because it's a nice, bright, sparkly pink that worked perfect with all of the vinyl that I chose to use. A lot of people have a tendency to have issues using nail tape. My tip for this is to overlap as much as you can, allowing it to adhere to itself on another stripe, if that makes sense. Once I started doing that, I really noticed that I conquered a lot of the problems when it came to the nail tape lifting. Another tip as well is you'll notice that this line was not applied straight. So what will happen is I will actually remove the whole piece and replace it with a brand new piece. I don't like to lift and re-lift on the nail tape, making it even more sensitive and even a bigger chance for it to lift. I know it can seem a bit wasteful, however, it's so much more worth it to just replace the whole stripe than to risk it losing the stickiness on the backside and causing it to lift once you start applying your epoxy. Once I double checked all of my striping, I was then sure I was ready for its final coat of epoxy. And that's it for this tutorial. I hope you guys really enjoyed this Lisa Frank inspired tumbler. I hope you guys play with this design using a variety of different patterns and vinyls. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. And don't forget, if you use a tumbler like this that has a screw lid, make sure you incorporate it with a little glitter and a matching vinyl. All the links will be listed down in the description for you guys below. And if you happen to recreate this design, please be sure to tag me so that I can see what you guys came up with. If you haven't already, please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more tutorials coming soon. I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.